Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As always, I'm your host, Airsoft Al, and welcome to another episode of MURICA Month, where today we take a look at America Summons, the second highest requested story to look at. And while, yes, it's technically Summoning America as the title, it's basically Japan Summons, but with America put in instead of Japan.
Ah, boy, here we go.
Ever since Japan Summons came about, and of course the manga itself, everyone has kind of looked at the story and thought, hey, what if this country was put into this? And each one has either followed the story and plot lines to a fucking T.
It just works.
Like a ton of other stories, or they've basically been lazy, self-insert power fantasies.
I couldn't make this shit up. I couldn't make this shit up if I tried. I'm sad that I lack the talent to make this shit up.
This one, however, is not a self-insert power fantasy. This one actually takes the idea very seriously. And Doritos, yes, I'm calling him Doritos because everything else about the author's name is one I'm not going to try and attempt. And we're going to take a look at all 18 chapters. Now, you're probably thinking this is going to be a long-ass video. Well, no, not really. You see, each chapter does follow the story beats. However, unlike most that takes the pacifist pacification of the nations, this one doesn't take that route. No, the author actually does take this seriously in understanding that if you fuck with America, well, let's say that ain't exactly a wise idea considering, well, how heavily armed we are and how excessive we are in terms of firepower and the fact that the word overkill is not in our dictionary or vocabulary.
It ain't me! It ain't me!
The story, as stated before, is more or less just the author's interpretation of the story. While, yes, it does follow the same story beats, it takes a very much so deviation, such as, of course, the whole idea that America would, in fact, want foreign bases on foreign nations. Let's face it, we would definitely want bases in this other nation, and we would definitely adopt the gunboat policy again, because once we learn that everything is based on power and, well, show of force. I don't know about you there, sunshine, but in terms of show of force, I do believe America can come out in strays and strows and roves and just, oh yeah, brother. And they do. I mean, here's the fun fact. In every single story I've seen where it's been Japan Summons, or at least in another country, when the whole massacre happens, and you know which one I'm talking about, people follow the same story beats. It's kind of bullshit, in my opinion. If a massacre can be avoided, it can be avoided. And the Americans, much like we are, if we know a conflict is coming and we can't, and technically speaking, it threatens our assets. It threatens the freedom and democracy of freedom and democracy loving people everywhere. I mean, as JFK says,
let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival and the success of liberty.
I mean, literally, we would do what we can to ensure the survival of liberty-loving people everywhere. And while, yes, there may be oil, and there may be some minerals, and maybe other stuff there, I mean, freedom-loving people come first. Ignore the oil fields and everything else over here. We're talking about tyranny over here. We're going to fight some tyranny, and they got WMDs. They got weapons of magical destruction.
Bullshit! Bullshit!
That's the other thing I do love about this, is that when the massacre happens, unlike most that try to be like, oh, only after this happened, we're gonna... No. When this shit happens, we start kicking ourselves in the ass because, of course, we have to follow protocol about, you know, the whole germs and stuff like that and possible future diseases. we're kicking ourselves in the ass because we allowed a massacre to happen. We allowed this horrible act to happen. And, of course, the president, and believe me, and something I would have loved for the author to do is actually show the people's reactions, actually show the newscasters' reactions, actually show the United States, because I can assure you now, if this sort of stuff was released to the public and told what happened, they would completely forget about the whole colonial thing. They'd forget about the whole bullshit. It'd be more of, who the hell did this? How can we take them down? Because as soon as that was released to the public, any lefty or any commie, any socialist dumbass trying to basically rail against the United States government for being colonialist, remind them about the massacre and how our inaction led to a small-scale genocide.
Of course!
That will shut them the hell up pretty damn quick.
You need to shut the fuck up!
The big thing I love about this is that when the war actually does happen, we don't try to pussyfoot around it. We go in, we kick ass, we do everything we can to bring freedom and democracy to these tyrannical sons of bitches. And the best part is that when the conflict actually does happen, the nobles of this nation start realizing how fucked they are and start like, you know what? We're just gonna back out. We're just gonna back out of here. We're just gonna go ahead. We're gonna side with the Americans, and we are not gonna fuck with these guys. Y'all go fuck yourselves. No. And the best part is that we have a CIA operative inside the castle. Because, of course, the CIA will be doing its shtick. What I love about it is that they do make a lot of good the author does make a lot of good jokes that actually do land. Especially with the Taco Bell joke. And if you know the joke I'm talking about, you know the joke I'm talking about. Because I'm not trying to spoil as much as I can, but I am going to say that the actual execution of everything is pretty good. And I want you guys to go read this because it is legitimately good. However, it does miss a beat here and there, but there are some things I do like. In fact, one of the good story beats I do love is the fact of we need to bring battleships back into service. And yes, they mean battleships, as in the museum pieces that are now going to be reactivated to be used in a conflict, because they kind of need all the firepower they can get against not just humanoid-based conflicts and humanoid-based enemies, but also sea-based threats. You know, krakens and hydras and other scary beasties that be out in the sea. If you haven't watched the speech from Jaws about, you know, just the dogs, the devil's eyes, go watch that scene. Just go look it up. It's a fun scene. I can imagine some of the sailors on these recommissioned battleships kind of talking about it, like these guys have fought these creatures before and they're giving that speech about the devil's eyes. What I do love about this story is that, again, it is America. It's not pussyfoot pacifist Japan. It ain't no pussified other nation. It is legitimately America. And I fucking love it. Every time another chapter comes around that I know from the actual Japan Summon story, I took a look at, the author basically goes like, you know what would America do? What America would do? And America would go to, of course, that empire, imperium, whatever, basically, and start reaching out to the rest of the world. Start putting its claw, start putting freedom and democracy into everyone. And each time we do it, we start bringing just more allies into the fold. And I love it. And while, yes, the whole idea of, oh, we ain't giving them guns is bullshit.
No! No! Does not compute! Does not compute! It does not compute! I can't say!
Author, I love it, but really? The Technological Prevention Act?
Excuse me, what?
Are you fucking kidding me?
I have several questions.
This is the one thing I gotta rant about, because, I'm sorry, you're fucking telling me that the United States wouldn't sell guns?
Bullshit!
Motherfucker, are you goddamn serious? I'm sorry, if we have an allied force, especially the CI goddamn A, especially any other private military contractors in the US, no, I'm sorry, we would be selling guns. It wouldn't be like, say, full-on mag-pulled, you know, M4s or AR-15s. I mean, hell, the most we'd probably do is selling World War II era technology, guns, like the Thompson, or, you know, maybe we'd go for the Cold War stuff. I mean, hell, we have more clone G3s in the US than any other nation in the world besides Germany. Again, we would be selling them weapons. And just to reiterate, one of the big ones we'd be selling them in droves because of how cheap they're easy to make. And yes, I'm saying cheap because it is cheap to make these things by the bundle. We'd be selling AKs out the wazoo. Because again, AKs, stamp steel, receiver, what have you, we'd be selling them in cratefuls to other nations. And if we wanted to actually make NATO, mind you, or say, you know, anything else of that nature for NATO, we wouldn't just sell them AK-47s. Even though that would be an easy tool to sell them, and it would make it easy for everything else in between. No, we wouldn't just sell them AK-47s. No, we wouldn't just sell them AK-47s. We'd also sell them M16A1s and A2s and 1911s. Why, you may ask? 45 ACP for one, and of course 1911 is the most reliable handgun known to man, and the most easy to make, and, well, let's just face it, who would you rather give this to? Or, correction, what kind of handgun would you give to someone who has never handled a handgun before? Would you give them, say, a Glock? With its intricate parts and intricacies and all the other bullshit it's got to deal with? Or would you rather give them a 1911? A 1911 that is reliable, is well known, over 100 years, 2 world wars! Again, it's a great handgun. Seriously, 1911. We'd be giving these like hotcakes. We'd be selling these like hotcakes. M16s, and when I mean M16s, I mean the older M16s, because I can assure you, we still have a ton of Vietnam stock laying somewhere. So we'd be giving them M16A1s, we'd be giving them M16A2s. We would literally be giving these guys all the M16s that we don't want to give them, like the newer stock of M16s, but giving them an M16 like this, for one, it'd be familiar to them. Number two, if we were to make our own version of NATO, 5.56.223. We have a surplus stock of these damn things, and I mean older M16s, as well as a surplus stock of, say, 20-round magazines and even 30-round magazines. And a staple of the United States of America, the staple of freedom-bringing, the staple of liberty, democracy, and the pursuit of happiness. The symbol of freedom.
America.
Look, Doritos, I get it, you want to try and stick to the same story beats, but America would not do a Technology Prevention Act. If anything, the government, as well as, again, the CIA, private contractors, freaking the firearms industry in general, would be doing everything and anything in their power to basically start selling weapons to our allies. And yes, allies. As in, we would try and sell weapons to these people. It may not be the best and brightest and newest with all the bells and whistles and the kitchen sink thrown in. We would at least sell them something adequate. Something good. And I mean that. Again, 1911s. Why? Even if it's a double stack. Why a 1911? Because it's iconic. Because it is robust. Because it is America. So again, I am sorry if you want to try and stick to the story, but I'm sorry, I know America better than anyone else. And the South, the southern states, we're doing anything and everything in our power to sell fucking guns to anyone. Again, why wouldn't we? Moving back to the actual story, goddammit. Rant over, let's get back to it. So, with that bullshit out of the way, which again, author, please rectify your bullshit, we finally actually do get to the story itself, or at least the rest of the story, where we start seeing America, after kicking, of course, that nation's ass, we start seeing them rebuild the nation as a republic. Yes, as a republic, and even bringing, well, programs to educate the populace. And this is a good thing to do. If you can educate the populace, they be able to not only vote, be able to read and write, be able to handle stuff. Again, lots of good stuff, and even be able to give them menial jobs or factory jobs, something that they can work towards. Boom the economy, essentially. I mean, again, I know I ran about it a little while ago, and I know it's probably something that a lot of people are probably bringing up in the comment section right now as to their bullshit reasons why he should have stuck with the story beats of the Technological Prevention Act, but I'm sorry, that's bullshit. This is America. Not pussy Japan. Not pacifist anyone. This is America. America. Moving on. We then, of course, begin our gunboat policy. The gunboat policy, more or less, coming up with damn strike groups. Literally, we're going in with strike groups with not only, of course, a huge detachment of Marines, hoorah, but also the Navy getting to flex its fucking muscles. They're probably happy as anything at the fact they're actually getting their destroyers back, their battleships. But the best part is that these morons with the Foreign Department are trying to understand America as a whole. They're trying to figure it out. And when they come to MU, or at least the other more machine-oriented nation, they're trying to figure out, you know, hey, did you give these guys this technology? And they just basically say, no, dumbass. And even if you do go to war with us, we're going to still kick your ass. Because here's the thing. Again, I love the fact of these people are not trying to start a fucking war. At least this one ambassador is not trying to start a damn war. But I already know what's going to happen. And to the author, for the love of God, don't follow the story beats. Just. Here's the thing. After Chapter 18, we get to see, of course, this Empire's bit. And we even get to see the princess escaping from, well, them, and being found by the U.S. military. Here's the thing, though. America would not sit by and allow a massacre to happen again. If anything, we'd be having fingers on the trigger, ready to move in at any point in time. Hell, the Marines, nice little fun fact by the way, the U.S. Marines can be deployed anywhere and anywhere without Congress approval. So if the President knows that there is going to be a conflict or knows that there is going to be a massacre, he can deploy the Marines. Which is why Marines can be deployed on U.S. soil. Hell, that's why Marines were able to storm the CIA building. Because they can do whatever they want. They can be deployed wherever they want, whenever they want. So I can see the President realizing, hey, there's got to be another massacre here at this one nation that looks like Japan. Let's go ahead and deploy some Marines here and actually make sure that doesn't happen. At which point in time, to avoid, you know, massive loss of U.S. lives, or at least anything of that nature, we would begin a type of mutual defense pact. We would begin selling weapons. Again, not heavily advanced weapons, but we'd be selling them at least World War II, Korea, or even Vietnam-era weapons. We would be selling them equipment. We'd be selling them, we'd be having advisors on the ground, boots on the ground, training these people, actually teaching them how to fight a modern war, incorporating magic into the military, incorporating magic into our modern doctrine. Again, we are not pussified Japan. We aren't going to let a massacre happen again. If we know what's going to happen, we are not going to let it happen. We'll even send advance warning to these people that if they do not back off, we will beat them back. We will bomb the hell out of them. We will... Look, all I'm saying is if the author tries to pussify us and not prevent a massacre and try to say America is the type of nation to just sit back and let it happen?
Bullshit! Bullshit!
No! No! Does not compute! Does not compute! It does not compute! I can't say!
Bullshit! Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
You're gonna hear an earful from me, you son of a bitch. Alright? Overall, though, what do I think of the story? With the 18 chapters at the recording of this video already out, I'm gonna say this. It's a good story. It really is. It is good at what it does. It does follow the story beats of Japan's summons, but it does actually show America. Well, being America is what America does. But what I am still pissed off about is these small elements that really, really doesn't make sense in terms of America. We wouldn't try to prevent technology. Sensitive technology, sure, but in terms of rudimentary technology, or like older firearms and guns, we wouldn't prevent that from being given. At first, sure, until we know the area is secured and we have, you know, our best interest at hand and we can trust the government that we're working with, then sure, no fucking problem. We would definitely start selling weapons to them. But in terms of just right out the goddamn bat, no, motherfucker. Not only that, but the story is good. That's what I'm trying to say. It is good and it does have its faults. And I really do hope the author doesn't try to pussify America. Because we aren't pussies. There is no pussification of the United States. And I mean this wholeheartedly, that we are not fucking pussies, okay? We ain't pussies. If anything, we're dicks. If you know where I was going with that, then you know the good movie. You know the puppet movie. But either way, though. I've rambled on long enough. Link in the description down below in the pinned comment for you guys to go check out Summoning America. And to leave your thoughts on the chapters as a whole. And of course, to make sure that the author does not pussify us. If you want to leave your thoughts in the comments section, please do. Because again, I'd love for the author to be able to know our thoughts on what he's trying on, you know, basic stuff. Either way, though. Thank you all for watching. As always, I've been Airsoft Al, and if you want to help support the content we do here at AAA Airsoft Media, then please do consider being a supporter via our PayPal down below. It's folks like you that actually make a lot of the stuff we do here possible, and again, thank you all for watching. As always, I've been Airsoft Al, the Con Man's Airsofter, who reviews books in America to let authors know whether or not they're being American or they're being American. And if you still like me rocking the beret, well, I'm going to keep rocking the beret. Till next time, ladies and gentlemen.